Hi, guys. Welcome to the Simple Doesn't Mean Easy podcast. We are here every week working at simplifying things in our lives, one simple thing, one day at a time. If you enjoy this podcast, please take a second to leave a 5-star review wherever you enjoy listening. That would mean so much to me. And I'm your host, Michelle Visser. Today, we're talking about a lot of things that I grew this year that I would never consider eating. So I had an additional summer garden that was filled with things, and I didn't eat one thing out of that garden. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Stick with me. But first, a huge shout out to Blue Alpine freeze dryers. They are 25% more efficient than any of their competition. And I have saved hundreds of dollars because of one simple thing. They use standard size trays in their machines. I have 4 sets so I can have food prepared and pre-frozen. And I didn't have to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on ridiculous odd size trays for their machines. And on top of that, most importantly, their customer service is top of the line. Go to Blue Alpine Freeze Dryers, check them out, and be sure you use code soulyrested when you're ready to invest in the best freeze dryer. Okay, so my intro might have sounded confusing. I'm talking today about a whole new garden for me, something I've never done before. And I'm going to fill you in on what I planted there this year. It was my medicinal drink garden. And the whole thing started back in January when I was looking at my seed collection and trying to decide what I wanted to order for this upcoming, well, what was the upcoming summer. And I can't remember why now, but I started thinking about, I guess I was thinking about my chicory and how much I wanted to grow. We'll get to that before this episode is over. I'll explain about my chicory if you don't know. If you follow on Instagram, you might already be well acquainted with my chicory love. Um, and somehow I got to thinking about, well, what other drinks do I make from scratch? And I thought, well, my favorite thing I do is my Coke syrup. And I looked at my ingredient list and I thought, wait a minute, this is crazy. Some of these I already grow and some of them I could grow. So that's where the whole idea started back in January. And I added to it little bits by bits. Some things never made it. Um, I just, I neglected a few things. So in the end, the whole thing turned out a little differently than I first planned it. But what I want to do for you in this episode is list all the things that I had on that first initial sheet where I planned out this garden and what I wanted to put in my medicinal drink garden. If you're like me, you don't really think about growing anything that you're not actually going to put on your dinner table, right? So it might sound a little weird to you to have a whole garden with nothing in there being something edible, although it's all edible. It's just for drinking. Is that still considered edible when you're drinking it? I guess it is. Um, but nothing there that I'm eating. No snacks, no vegetables for dinner, just drinks. But the more that I've gone down this, I was going to say rabbit hole of homemade drinks, but that's not really the right word because it's an exciting thing. Like the more drinks that I realize I can make myself, some of them are like copycat Starbucks drinks. Some of them are, like I already said, just Coke and root beer and Dr. Pepper, some really delicious things. And then it all started with some of my tea blends that I made. My first one, I think my first ever actual homemade drink I made was probably my Lipton tea blend. Um, But to have, 10 years ago when we started growing our own food and raising some meat, I I learned early on that I couldn't just do it all. But if I could pick a new thing every year or two, no, that's not what I wanted to say. If every year I could pick one or two new things, that's what I wanted to say. That I could see if maybe I could do this thing. It wasn't necessarily going to be something I ever wanted to do long term. But looking at the state of the world and the state of our food supply throughout many of the past years, it just made me feel really good to think about, okay, if I couldn't buy blank, could I potentially make something that would be okay from things I could grow or raise myself? So a lot of things that I've done over the years, I've just done it 1 or 2 years and I moved on. Like, cool, I know how to do that. That's kind of in my tool belt, in my arsenal of tools if I need it down the road. But, it's not something I need to do long term for whatever reason. Sometimes, you guys know, sometimes making it yourself costs more than if you just buy it. No doubt about it. Not usually with the healthy versions, though. Like if you buy a healthy soda, that's like $2, $3 for a can, right? You can make it a lot cheaper than that. Um, but also just the time you put into some things. Like one thing that I did 1 year only, but I'm really glad I did it because I learned a lot. I grew 3 different varieties of wheat. I learned that you need a lot of land and a lot of like good equipment and knowledge to really do even a small scale growing of enough wheat berries to make your own flour. I learned a lot of other things too. I don't know if I'll ever grow wheat again because there were a lot of complications and I wound up, with the amount of garden I gave up to grow it, I wound up with like 2 handfuls of 3 varieties of wheat. So that's just one of a lot of things that I've done. I'm glad I did, but I'm not adding it to my regular rotation of things. It's just something in the back of my mind that's cool. I did that. So I don't know where I was going with that. I guess what I was thinking was I didn't know at the time if I'd actually keep making my own Coke when I was figuring out how to do that or any of these drinks. But a lot of them has stuck around because I realize it's something I really love doing. It is definitely cost effective. And in the end, sometimes once I get used to the difference of the homemade healthy choice versus the junk toxic choice that you buy at the store, once I get used to the taste difference, a lot of times I actually prefer it. So definitely, I have a lot of drinks in my arsenal now that are around on a regular basis. And I think what I'm thinking now, what do you guys think? I think today I'm just going to give you the list of the plants that I grew this year and tell you about them and their health benefits, medicinal benefits, things like that. And then if you're interested, I could do a whole different episode about the drinks that I make using these plants. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let me know what you think. So I have my list in front of me. I'm ready to go through it. I think some of these things will be ones you've already thought of. There'll be plants you're familiar with, and some of them you might not be familiar with at all or didn't have any idea that you could grow these things. So I hope you find this inspiring and I hope you walk away with just one thing that you're going to try to grow yourself next year. So the first thing on my list is lavender. Y'all know lavender, right? We've done a couple episodes here exclusively about lavender, episode 108 and 109. I interviewed a lavender farmer. So if you want to know the real details, like the nitty gritty on lavender, definitely check out episode 108 and 109. But lavender tea is a really soothing, calming drink. I will say, I would never drink just lavender tea, though. I will add it to another tea occasionally. But in my opinion, if you just drank lavender tea, it tastes kind of like soap. I don't know. So that isn't something I would typically do, but maybe you like it. Everybody's tastes are different. Maybe you would like it. But it's definitely a very calming drink. And I think that's mainly because of the smell, right? While you're holding it, you're smelling that wonderful lavender scent that's so calming. But it does give a nice little floral note to all different blends. If you want to just toss in a few lavender blooms, and then you're going to get some of that scent and you're going to get the medicinal value too. So I grew it because it's one of those things I realized I could grow in my DIY Coke syrup. So that's why it was one of the first things on my list. It can improve your mood, not just because of the smell, which is primarily how it improves your mood, but also the taste can like give you a little boost if you're feeling a little anxious, a little sad. It can definitely help with sleep. Now, definitely smelling is typically the way that people will have lavender herbs. The smell, the scent of it will help them go to sleep. But studies show that a cup of lavender tea to unwind before bed can definitely help people sleep better, especially this is just me adding this in. This was not in the study, but if you mix chamomile and lavender, like I said, I wouldn't drink just lavender. That can definitely be a wonderful sleep aid. And interesting enough, the smell can actually relieve menstrual cramps and other pains, which I find fascinating. Before I mention the second one, I'm on to number 2 now, but before I do, I want to tell you, I found as I was reading about this that people who are pregnant, or if you think you might, become pregnant, you should avoid this next herb entirely. So I want to preface everything I'm mentioning in this episode with that statement, because I have not read details about any of these things that I use for drinks to know if they're fine to use when you're pregnant. So definitely, I mean, that's true for any medicinal things I ever recommend, because it's not obviously something on my radar in my mid 50s that I'm ever concerned about. But okay, the next one is blue hyssop. It's actually called Korean mint, which I find interesting because even though it is definitely slightly minty, I wouldn't say that's the flavor profile of it. So I'm not sure how it got that name. I mean, maybe other people think it tastes more minty than I do, but I think it has a very distinctive sweet licorice taste. I personally love licorice, and it adds such a nice little oomph to so many different tea blends that I love growing blue hyssop for that very reason. And it turns out that it can help with asthma symptoms. It can help reduce the risk of cancer, and it definitely improves inflammation in your body. So blue hyssop is one to look into. Plus it's pretty. If you like cottage, um, country, old time looking kind of flowers, this is one for you. It's really pretty. It's probably, oh, I'm not good at height, 3 to 4 feet tall, kind of wispy. The blooms get pretty tall themselves. They're kind of like almost like the shape of lavender blooms, but longer, and they're a really pretty, almost purpley blue color. So blue hyssop, check into it if you don't know it. The third one on my list is ginger, but funny enough, I actually didn't grow this year. I was going to play around with it, but this is something that is better for me to play around with in the winter, honestly, because it's not something I need to have in my garden per se. But from what I'm told, haven't done this. If you guys have, reach out, tell me, give me your tips, let me know about it. But you can actually plant a piece of just plain old ginger that you get at the grocery store, and it will grow a lot more ginger for you. So this is just one of those things that I might only try once, but it's one of those tools I want in my tool belt. Like, I think that's so cool. If I ever need to, I could grow ginger. Um, it does need warmth. So that's why I know I can't actually put it in the ground in my garden, but I'm going to put a big piece of ginger in a pot, and then that pot can easily come inside in the winter months. And when the root's ready to harvest, I'm going to slice it and dehydrate it. Actually, I'll probably freeze dry it and dice it into chunks, and then use that to make my DIY Coke and so many other teas, probably. So I'm excited to try it, just haven't gotten to it yet. Number 4 on the list is one that you probably have heard of. This is like a miraculous herb. I think it might possibly be the herb that gives you the most health benefits of any herb you could grow. It's Tulsi basil. And it does have a very subtle kind of minty taste to the basil, which sounds weird because mint and basil are very different tastes. But because it's very subtle, it's really useful. You can do a lot of things with it. And it helps reduce respiratory issues. It can open up your airways and like really improve your breathing. It can help reduce the duration of a cold or a flu when you get one. It's one of those herbs that are called an adaptogen because it helps with stress and anxiety regulation. It actually has several components in it that will help reduce your stress, that may have a direct impact on reducing your cortisol levels, which is huge because high cortisol can lead to weight gain, high blood pressure, mood disorders, even weakened bones, which all those things can really be important in menopause. So Tulsi basil is something that is high on my list of important things to grow. It also, I think this is cool, can help with your dental health. It can reduce your plaque buildup on your teeth. How cool is that? The fifth one on my list that I grew is lemon balm. Lemon balm, I hesitate to say this because I feel like I've been saying this about everything, but it's not only slight minty tasting, it's actually in the mint family, but I really don't think it's minty tasting. It's very lemon tasting, as you would guess from the name of it. So it makes a really delicious tea because it's mainly lemon, a little bit of that sweet mint hint to it. And lemon balm is so amazing at all the things it can do. It reduces anxiety, it helps you sleep, it eases menstrual pain, it helps you focus, which that's really important to me. Midday, I love having some lemon balm in my tea for that very reason. It improves your memory long term, and it can improve your heart health even, and even lower your blood pressure. Some of those things like the sleep and the blood pressure issue, I'm going to try really hard this year to get Bill to consider taking some of the lemon balm tincture that I make every night before bed. I'm going to try. I'm just putting it out there. I don't know why I even said it publicly because he very well might refuse. He's not someone who's into any kind of like how do I want to word it? He's not really into the healthy medicinal options. He is much more happy with taking a few pills that were prescribed and moving on with his day. And I get it. I understand the attraction of that. Um, so anyway, he's not usually on the same page as I am with all that kind of stuff. So I love taking my lemon balm tincture at night, but I'm going to see if Bill will be willing to this year. I'm going to see. I want to pause to tell you about Ilve. They are an Italian luxury appliance brand that specializes in truly the most amazing ovens. They're renowned for their craftsmanship. They blend traditional Italian design with modern technology, and they produce a premium cooking oven. Go to soulyrested.com/kitchen to see my new baby that I am in love with. So, do you find yourself sacrificing quality in the name of non toxic, especially when it comes to personal care items, beauty products, soaps, lotions, all that good stuff? Well, guys, those days are over because I absolutely love everything that I use from hearthandhomesteadstore.com. Go to soulyrested.com/soap, SOAP, if you'd like to see all my personal favorites. These are items I use on repeat that I would not have that I would not have in my home. And these things, every ingredient is all natural. They are truly legit, clean products that do what they promise. They are such high quality. Go to soulyrested.com/soap. I actually have a lot of actual mints on my list now. So before I even tell you the different varieties of mints I grew, I want to tell you that mint has traditionally been used to treat fevers, headaches, different minor ailments, and definitely anything digestive related. You guys know this though, right? You know that if you suck on a peppermint mint or a wintergreen mint, like it's going to calm your stomach. It always just soothes your stomach. That's why they always have mints after dinner at restaurants. So it all goes back to the real mint, though, the actual mint. And it has true medicinal properties to digestively soothe and aid your digestive system. Some of the mints that I grew included ginger mint was a new one to me this year. And I got to tell you, I think it might be my favorite. I mean, it's hard to say. There's all different ways I use all different mints. That's why I grow so many varieties of them. And maybe I'm just saying ginger was my favorite because um, it was of the new ones I grew this year. I grew 3 new varieties this year. It was definitely my favorite of those 3. And I really liked it because it truly has a ginger um, little oomph to it. And ginger's so yummy and so good in so many things. So it's great by itself as a tea, but it's also nice to add to other blends. So it was definitely one I'm definitely growing again. Other new ones I grew this year were banana mint and pineapple mint. And I don't know. They were both okay. I will probably grow banana mint again. I'm not sure about the pineapple. I think the problem was that it was too dry of weather this year and it just didn't do well with the dryness. So I probably will give it another try too, because they were both delicious and they had very unique taste profiles for sure. I grew some mojito mint, and while it's named after the alcoholic drink that it's really perfect for, I'm growing it for my kombucha, for my non-alcoholic kombucha that is strawberry and mojito flavored. So good to use some dehydrated or freeze-dried strawberries and some mojito mint to flavor my second ferment of kombucha. Really, really good flavor. I grew orange mint. That one, until ginger, is the one I would always say, if I'm just going to grab it to have a cup of tea, it would be orange. Kayla disagrees with me. She's my tea buddy, who her and I often grab teas and sit down together. And she would never just grab orange mint. She would grab chocolate mint or traditional mint. I think she says she thinks orange is a little, what does she call it? Menthol flavor, I think she says. I don't agree. I think the orange is delicious. It's what its name says it is. And I really like it if I have some dried fruit to add to it. It just combines really well with like dried cherries or blueberries. So that's a yummy one for just a straight up tea. Chocolate mint, I personally love for my smoothies and my ice cream, because who doesn't want chocolate mint, right? And I think that might be all the mints I grew this year. I also have a new plant that I really don't know anything about. I'll keep you posted if I learn things and it goes well, but I just got this spring. So far it's doing really well. It looks great. It's growing really well. It's a yerba mate plant. You traditional yerba tea is made directly from the dried leaves and the stems of this plant. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm confused about a couple things. I haven't actually tried the tea yet because I want to let it grow and get a little bigger before I start cutting off leaves and branches. So anyway, just mention it because I did grow it this year, but I haven't tried it. So I'll keep you posted on that. If you guys, anybody out there has grown a yerba mate plant, please reach out. I need your tips. Okay. Lemongrass was another one that's new to me this year. I haven't harvested it yet. So I can't tell you about that per se, except for what I've read, but I'm really excited about it. Lemongrass has this really refreshing, sweet citrus flavor, like you would think from the name. And it's really a popular ingredient in a lot of really delicious herbal teas. In fact, the reason I decided to grow this is one herbal tea that I really love. In fact, I'll link it in the show notes. I love it so much, especially this time of year. It's apple cider tea and it has lemongrass in it. And that's when I first decided I love that tea so much. I'm going to see if I can make something similar, but I'm going to see if I can grow my lemongrass to make it. So lemongrass is known for having antioxidant and anti-inflammatory benefits. It reduces inflammation. And of course, that in the end is going to inhibit cancer growth and it's going to help with heart disease. So good stuff. Next up on my list, for some reason, I stopped numbering the items on my list. So I don't know what number we're at, but this is echinacea. These are those beautiful flowers. They're called cone flowers. They're typically pretty pink flower. They're so beautiful. They're like a pink daisy is what I call them, kind of, or a pink version of black-eyed Susan, the Maryland state flower. I know that because I lived in Maryland for a little while. Anyway, wonder if echinacea is a flower for any state. I don't know. Well, they're a beautiful flower, and I love it that all of it, the stems, the leaves, and the flower can all be used for teas, and they are all medicinal. And echinacea can help with all kinds of health issues that are tied to inflammation, and it can give anxiety reducing effects. Fun story about the echinacea. It's the first thing that I harvested a little bit from the garden, and my granddaughters loved it. They came over and we had a little tea party in the garden, and I told them to pick their flower. We popped it off and put it right in the tea strainer. I added some mint. They also picked their mint leaves. We let it steep for 10 minutes and then let it cool off because they're young and they don't like hot tea. And they sat back and enjoyed their tea that they picked from the garden. So that was fun. Another one that I grew was calendula. I haven't grown calendula before. Can you believe that? It's such a common, popular medicinal flower, and I've never grown it. But I got a particular variety. In fact, I should have told you this right up front. I will link in the show notes this whole list for you. I have a blog article that links all of these items and tells you even more about them. And the particular variety of calendula I grew is linked there. It's so pretty. It's not your typical calendula color, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. But you can use the flowers for teas, and you can use the leaves for making a really helpful extract. Calendula offers antioxidants, it combats cancer, it can reduce gingivitis, which I always think that's interesting that some of these do that. And gargling calendula tea, which would be way better than gargling salt water, right? It is said to reduce sore throats. Never tried it. I might try that this winter though. Next up on my list is turmeric. You guys know this spicy, earthy flavor that goes so well with ginger and green and black and chai teas. You're going to find this flavor in a lot of those kind of teas. I've never grown it before. Haven't yet harvested it yet, so I'll keep you posted on that too. I'm really, really intrigued to see how big the root is. A lot of the root plants that I grow, I get really nervous. I have a few more coming up on my list that I'll tell you about, actually the next two, and then my list is done. Yeah, so these last three are all root plants, and you actually harvest the root to use for your medicinal drinks. So for the turmeric, the plant itself didn't grow a lot this summer. And like I said, we had a dry year. So I'm kind of a little nervous that it's going to be a really tiny little root underneath, but we'll see. And I'm going to turn that into just a nice dehydrated powder and use it in my drinks. Turmeric is great for digestive issues, can help fight inflammation, it reduces pain, and it can ward off cancer, as almost all of these actually can do either directly or indirectly. Next up is ashwagandha. I think this is such a cool adaptogenic herb. And this is my second year of growing it. And like I said, it's for the roots. Last year, I was so happy with how big the roots were. The plant didn't get that big, but the roots were phenomenal. I harvested them and I roasted them. And then I cut them up, put them through the dehydrator, and dried them up and made a powder that I can add to my healthy hot chocolate mix. I'll link that in the show notes. Such a delicious drink. I try to drink it every single day. Once the weather turns cold, I'm drinking a cup every day because it's loaded with adaptogens. It truly is a healthy hot chocolate, and my ashwagandha is one of those ingredients. And last on my list, drum roll please, this might be, I think it is, my favorite thing on the list is chicory. Chicory genuinely makes me happy. I've been growing it for 5 years now. And yes, it is the same chicory that you might be familiar with that you think is just a plain old weed growing along the road. You actually can harvest the chicory you find in the wild like that, but there's kind of a couple problems with it. One, typically when it's growing wild, it's going to be a much smaller root, and also, it hasn't been deadheaded, so all the energy has gone into the plant and the flowers, and your root's probably not going to do a lot. If you're growing it yourself in a garden medicinally, you can keep it deadheaded all summer long, and that puts the energy into the roots. And some of my roots turn out so big, so luscious. They make me so happy. If you think I'm crazy, let me tell you why I love chicory. Chicory is an amazing caffeine-free coffee alternative. And you simply have to harvest the roots, dehydrate them, roast them, grind them up, and steep them in hot water. And I tell you what, it's so good. Now, I do have a recipe I'll link in the show notes that includes two other ingredients. So I do make it a 3-part tea. Sometimes, though, I will just have chicory, and you absolutely can just drink the chicory, but I like adding cinnamon and dandelion root for all the medicinal benefits they offer and for the flavor profiles that they offer. Such a good cup of tea. My absolute favorite of all time. It probably will be till the day I die. My chicory blend of tea. So good. I was even, by the way, I don't know if I really don't remember if I've talked about this on here. I was interviewed this time last year in a national news publication to find out all the scoop on my chicory garden. Maybe it was earlier in the year. Maybe it was in the height of the summer. It was National Coffee Day, I think is what it was. Is there such a thing? I think that's what it was when the reporter found me because I had written about chicory on my blog, and that's how he found me. And he said, "What can you tell me about chicory? Does it really taste like coffee? Can we really grow this in the US? Because, we can't grow coffee in the US, but you're telling me we can." So I had a nice talk with him, sent him some pictures and some video that he used. And there's a national news article out there about Michelle Visser and her chicory medicinal garden. I'll link that in the show notes too. Okay. So the benefits of chicory. The inulin in the chicory root is a prebiotic. So we know a lot about probiotics, right? But the prebiotics taken or ingested, eaten, drank along with the probiotics are so important because they help different parts of our gut health. And you really should have both the prebiotic and the probiotic at the same time when possible. So the inulin in the chicory root is the prebiotic, and that stimulates the growth of the beneficial gut bacteria while also decreasing the germs and the bad bacteria in your intestines. So it not only helps the good, it helps decrease the bad. It actually relieves constipation. It can lower the levels of osteoporosis by increasing the amount of minerals our bones can absorb, mainly calcium. It can lower the risk of liver disorders. It decreases the risk for cancer. It reduces skin inflammation. And this one I had to add because I found it so funny. I literally copied and pasted this into my list because you have to hear this, guys. It can reduce odorous compounds in the colon and the rectal contents, which I'm pretty sure means it can make your poo smell better. I don't know if this is true, but I thought that was so funny. Okay. So, with no caffeine and its nicely roasted flavor, it can make so many beverages delicious. And fun fact, many manufacturers will add chicory to their coffee. A lot of coffees that you buy, if you look in the ingredients, you'll see they've added chicory. That allows them to cut their costs down. It changes the flavor profile, I think improves it. And it can also cut down the caffeine content. So if it's a coffee that's what they're going for, to be lower in caffeine, you can almost guarantee that it has chicory in it. So there you go. Lots more I can tell you. In fact, I will tell you more about chicory if I do that other episode, which I think I will. We'll do that, where I tell you more about my medicinal drinks, and I'll fill you in even more about all the ways I use all of these great things that I've been growing. So I hope there was something on my list that appealed to you, something maybe you didn't know you could grow. Maybe you'll start. But reach out, let me know. I always love hearing from you guys if there's something that you caught me mentioning that made a difference to you. So thanks for listening, friends. Remember, it is easy to forget how blessed we are to live this life. So enjoy the simple, everyday efforts. It's not easy, but it is a very good life.